on 055 1111997. 055 1111997 here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. You know, 90s, mid-90s and all of that. Well, there are many from, the second cycle system who identify with this a great deal. So Japan actually wrapped up that game 5-0 against Zambia. And the other big question is, are the African teams just going to the FIFA Women's World Cup to make up the numbers? Nigeria is the most successful so far, having made it to the quarterfinals. Question is, what's going to happen this time? Will we have an African team do it? Well, Zambia don't look like they are in it because there was a 5-0 drubbing in that game. So apologies for that. 5-0 drubbing it was. So in a few minutes, we'll get down to the conversation. And of course, we'll be crossing over to Kumasi to get the updates regarding the said return of a man who won the Ghana Premier League title when he had his first stint. So once this is fully confirmed, how is it going to go? A good decision? Well, we'll get to see. The Vodafone demo promo. It's getting very, very exciting. So you don't miss the opportunity to cash out on the demo promo. All you need is to purchase airtime or a bundle worth 5 Ghana cedis or more, or receive a top-up of 20% cash back in your Vodafone cash wallet. Net dim. Participate in the Vodafone Demo Chance Challenge and stand a chance of winning amazing prizes from Samsung Ghana, like phones and earbuds. All you need to do is just post a video of yourself on social media dancing to the signature Edemu song. Tag Vodafone. Keep reloading in the Edemu promotion and win big. Vodafone, Further Together. And of course, Insura Power Sports, in collaboration with Joy Sports, brings you the first mid-year thought leadership event, which happens at the Labadi Beach Hotel on July 31. Arrival time is scheduled at 5 p.m. This is the biggest football conversation ahead of the start of the Ghana Premier League season in September. And of course, this becomes the highest point or the wrap-up to a long campaign that we've been running here called Phil GPL Centers. So we'll be on the theme, beg your pardon. Phil GPL Centers, the challenge, the solution. We present our findings. And of course, this will have maximum participation from all corners and all divisions of the football family, the Ghana League Clubs Association, the leadership of the Ghana FA, supporters bodies, sponsors and potential sponsors, and the Professional Footballers Association of Ghana. It's July 31 at the Labadi Beach Hotel, and this will be live on the Joy News channel and here on Joy 99.7 FM. Phil GPL Centers. Let's get the solutions and let's get to see what the real cause is so we can find a solution. We'll be presenting our findings on the day. And of course, we're bringing industry specialists and experts to discuss this matter and look at it from a scientific point of view. Phil GPL Centers, the challenge, the solutions. We present our findings. It's happening on July 31 at the Labadi Beach Hotel. And this is an Insura Sports initiative powered by Joy Sports and supported by Joy News and Joy 99.7 FM. And you know, the 2023 edition of the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair starts with the first clinic as follows. It's Friday, August 4 to Sunday, August 6, 2023. Venue is the West Hills Mall, and time is 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. So this year's exhibition will be under the theme Home Ownership, Affordability, Comfort or Luxury. Visit the clinic and engage all the providers in the housing value chain. All your housing needs, be it financing, land acquisition, rent to own, outright purchase, roofing, lighting, electronic appliances, home security, or home furnishing. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is your stop shop for everything housing. So to exhibit, just call 021314271 and 0244260653. There will be daily giveaways by the sponsors to visitors at the fair. The EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair is in partnership with EcoBank, Pan African Bank, and Rent to Own. And of course, sponsored by EcoBank, the Pan African Bank, Planned Cities Extension Project, Rent to Own, Elegant Homes and General Construction Limited, where quality meets value. Global Lighting, your solution to quality lighting. Syntex Tanks, AES Strong, AES Tough. Gold Key Properties, building prestige since 1997. Springfield Estates, where dreams are built. In a few moments, we'll be reaching to our contributors for this conversation this afternoon. As we mentioned earlier, there are strong indications coming from the corridors of the Menchia Palace that a decision has been reached to have the next substantive coach for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. So we'll start off that conversation. And then also zoom in on whether ex-player coaches make a difference in our game as coaches. All of this and more here on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM. 055-1111-997 is for your messages on WhatsApp. Please do send them in. This show is yours, designed for you, and about you as well. But you know something? what does wealth mean to you at all? Do you want to live like a tycoon? Ghana's newest game is out, about to go live on Wednesday, July 26, 2023. So watch our daily live draws at 9 a.m., midday, but that's 12 p.m., and 6 p.m. on Ogum TV. Just pick up your phones, tablets, and computers and download the Game Park games on Play Store. It's easy to play and it's easy to win. Charlie, make we play this game. Make we make some moolah. No cash. Watcha. Nobody beats our odds in Ghana. Game Park games, more moolah, more power. Remember, this game is regulated by the National Lottery Authority. It's not for persons under the age of 18. Play responsibly. Hey, loads of people are listening to the Joy Sports Link today, and I guess this subject is going to tickle everybody. If you belong to the red side of the Ghana Premier League, I'm talking Kumasi, Asante, Kotoko, then of course you'd want to listen in. And of course, for those of you who have been debating about coaching and who makes the better coach, whether it's the ex-players or not, we try to determine it right here. So big greetings to you, Mami Biama and Ko. You're listening, Mami Biama and Ko. But want to send a message as well, eh? And when I'm wrapping up, I'm going to say happy birthday to a couple of people. Lots of my friends are turning 50 this year. Charlie, shall we get down to the conversations? And this man has played for the Ghana Black Stars. I'm talking about the senior national football team and is one of the best capped players. I mean, he's played at the Africa Cup of Nations and has played at the FIFA World Cup as well. Before all of these exploits, of course, he was able to chart a course in Europe and played in clubs in the English Premier League, in Israel, and here in the Ghana Premier League as well. What is important is that from the grassroots, he made his way through the youth teams and eventually made it into the Black Stars. Well, he is one of the very, very dependable defenders and now has charted a course to become a coach and wants to give back through development football. John Paintsel is my guest today on the Joy Sports Link. Later on, he will be joined by seasoned football analyst Osei Owusu-Bempah, and he'll be giving us some historical perspective to this conversation as well. And of course, later on, we'll also be hearing from the vice chairman of the Greater Accra Coaches Association under the Ghana National Soccer Coaches Association, Coach Osman Seidu. He also has thoughts on this particular subject. But of course, at a certain point, we're going to be going to the Garden City of Kumasi so that we do a bit of analysis as well as, as Kumasi Asante Kotoko gets some new leadership, in the dugout ahead of the start of the season, and that will be in September. So JP4 is the man who joins me here for the discussion to start it all off. John Paintsel, my guest here on the Joy Sports Link. JP, thank you so much, and glad to see you are doing well.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. And you're looking well, like always.
Thank you. I was just about to talk about that orange shirt you have on. You should get me one, eh? You know, my size? My size is it medium or large? I think I wear large. Hey, but before we go on a lighter side, I mean, how did you manage to keep that waist size? Eh? Your waist size has been consistent since ever since, and you've kept the physical figure as well ever since.
Yeah, the shape is important, Nathaniel. I think it takes discipline to get to where I am. And sometimes it's difficult and sometimes tempting to do what I'm not supposed to do. So I'm trying to maintain.
But you eat everything. You eat everything, don't you? All right. Can you hear me, Joe? I was just asking if you eat. You eat everything you want to eat, right? You don't do any diets or anything.
No, no, no. I eat everything, but the timing, as in, I don't like eating after 6, so I have to maintain that. The late hour I can eat is from 5, and after 5, the rest is water and juice.
Hey, Charlie.
So I'm maintaining.
Empower. As for this, empower.
Empower,
As for this, your
empower.
as for this, your 6 p.m. There, I will work with many people I know. I'm not gonna
I
mention
know.
names. Anyway, good to have you on the show once again. I mean, this conversation has been raging on in a while, and I'm glad that it's you addressing this because you have worked under many coaches, some of who have been ex-players, and I'd want you to start it from there. During the period when you were, playing, you're playing actively. Did you find any difference really, between people who have played the game before and people who just went in to take their coaching and pursue coaching? Did you find any difference at all? Did you?
Yeah, I think there's a difference between a player coach and then a coach who has not played before. Um, the difference is not that big, but I think when a player, an ex-player, is coaching, he already knows what is going to happen sometimes before the game, and also during the game when things are going to have. He or she knows how he can change things around, how he can communicate with players. But for me, we have some coaches who have never touched football before, but they are very, very good when it comes to coaching. So for me, I don't see there's big difference between somebody who has played before and then someone who has never played. But the difference is just a little, not much.
So on the larger scale, it means that having played the game, you sure will have a certain edge and a certain advantage, right?
Yeah, if you play the game before, you have an advantage of going to coaching. Um, the why I say you have advantages, you are going to do the coaching course and you add that to your experience you acquired during your career. But somebody who has never played before, now he or she is now going to start from the scratch, know all the bases and even the role of coaches and the responsibility of coaches. Anyone that has played before knows already. So when you go to the course, those things will come to play and it will make it easy for you. But somebody who don't know the game at all and trying to become a coach, yeah, will go through all the process and once they have it, they are good to go. So playing and retire and become a coach, you have a huge advantage going forward.
I see. We're going to delve into your journey and the decision to go into coaching amongst the many other things that you could have done in the football value chain. But as I mentioned earlier, we have some news coming in from the corridors of Menchia indicating that Dr. Prosper Nate Ogum is certain and set to make a return to the club. The club where he left, as a man who had won the ultimate in the Ghana Premier League, which also got him loads of accolades, including becoming the football coach of the year at the Ghana Football Awards that particular year. Now, my colleague Fifi Manfred, who's with our Kumasi operation, has joined, and he'll be giving us a bit of an update regarding how firm everything is at this stage and what the expectation will be as we go along. Fifi, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much, Nat.
Look, Dr. Prosper Nate Ogum for a second stint with Kumasi Asante Kotoko. Around this time, the kind of language that we all like to use on the professional scale is still being speculated, but it's done and dusted, isn't it?
Yes, largely done and dusted for two reasons. Yesterday, Mopim Swarm met with former Kotoko players and some members of the NCC he expressed some worry that the season is going to start in just a few weeks from now, and he wanted things to be expedited. So in that meeting, he pointed out to former player of the team, Mr. James Akosiapia. He hugs Akosiapia to make sure he finds him a coach. In fact, he was insistent. At the end of that meeting, he told James Akosiapia that Akosi, he called him Akosi. He said, Akosi, you need to find me a coach. You need to find me a coach. But in breaking news, even right now, is that right now I can confirm to you that as I speak to you now, first one, nobody has said this. Coach Nate Prosper Ogum is at Adakwa Jache, Kotoko's training grounds now, waiting for Opensor to come through to meet them. Like in that meeting yesterday, Opensor did mention that he was going to go to Adakwa Jache and see the project that's going on. So yes, it is actually done.
Now the other the other bit about second stints, second love affairs, and how they go. We have the Mourinho stories. We have a few others that you can refer to. What then will be the immediate challenges that you see confronting Prosper Nathaniel Attoh? Because at the time when he left, some of the key issues were the board's inability to give him what he wanted when it came to quality material. What will change this time?
Well, Nat, first of all, one of the first things that I'm worried for Coach Nate Prosper Ogum is that there is still the problems that had been at Kotoko whilst he was there. Those problems are still there, and the fact that there's no structure at the club now. Who appointed him? It's as it stands now, looks like it's Menchia because of Pimswell Radio, which is the mouthpiece of Menchia that broke the news. So it stands like it looks as if that is from Menchia. He spoke through James Kosiapia to get that done. How are they going to make sure that his work goes on without any issues going forward? There is no board, there is no management. Are the management and board are going to come through to come to the helm at Kotoko, going to be able to work directly with Coach Nate Prosper Ogum? In the professional circles, you don't really expect that there should be some issues with something like this. But then these are things that when it comes to relationship, especially in football, you would expect that he knew this before. I hope that he knows. He has an idea who's going to be the board chair, who are those going to be on the board, who are those going to be the management of the club. But essentially, Kotoko's problems go beyond just a coach. Kotoko's problem goes beyond just a board. Kotoko's problem is that if that Kotoko has a debt of $3 million, that's in there. Kotoko needs to play that debt. It's an issue of money, liquidation that is supposed to be injected into the club to be able to run the club. So my worry is, are these new management going to have the money to run the club, especially since we want to compete with the guys of the likes of Al Ahly, Mamelodi Sundowns, and the likes on the continent?
And these immediate past board members have sunk in various amounts in terms of investment. Traditionally, nobody can come back to ask the Otum for maybe like a return or to when are we going to see or hear of the appointment of the board, which will be very critical in taking some very key decisions for Asante Kotoko going into this season?
So again, referring to the meeting yesterday, Opensor did also point to that direction, that he wants that also to be expedited. He feels that there was the need to get a coach to start a technical work even before the board comes in his wisdom. And he also pointed out to the fact that he thinks that the need for a board and then, of course, management should be done by at least the middle of August, because he knows that the league is going to resume in September. So by the end of this month, by the time we enter August, we are expecting Opensor is going to name and possibly an executive board chairman, because yesterday he asked the Akupa guys, the former Asante Kotoko players, to tell him how they think the club should be run. They said that during their reign, when they were Kotoko players, Kotoko was given to one man who then appointed his people to work with them. They feel like the new corporate structure of having a board and a management isn't working. So they told the king, they suggested to the king that they felt that he should give the club to one person who can then bring his people to run the club. So it looks as if we are probably going to get an executive board chairman who is then going to have, say, a CEO working right directly with him in that regard. So by the end of this month, by 30th, 31st, and the first week of August, I'm sure we'll have the new set of leaders for Kumasi Asante Kotoko.
And the task going into the season is?
Well, not even before it is said, that once Kotoko are coming into any season, we expect that they win the league. So first of all, I know that Nathaniel Attoh, who is a coach who has won the league the last time for Kotoko, would want to win it again. The immediate task is going to be to win the league on the footballing terms. But on the side of the footballing terms, they would want to put up a structure. They would want to have some form of continuity and then stake a huge claim to Africa. That's going to be difficult. They are supposed to have a long-term plan and a short-term plan. But on the side of that, as we listened to Opemso yesterday, he expects that, like Nane Amponsa did in his administration, the club should be run based on internally generated funds. So yesterday again, he pointed out to the NTC that there are some monies that are yet to be received from Kotoko, download money from FIFA, some sponsorship packages, monies that haven't really come in. He expects that once the board comes in, their first job is to go back, renegotiate with these people, find a way to get these monies for Kotoko, because he, in his wisdom, he feels that, and I think I agree, that about 6 million in excesses, those monies, once the club can get that, it's going to be enough money to run the club, especially from the onset of the new win. So he wants them to go and get those monies. But then, of course, we know that once the foot of play comes on, Kotoko will expect to be winning the Ghana Premier League at the very least.
Tell me about the conversations on the streets. I mean, that always has a very big bearing, especially on the numbers in the stands. One thing we're going to be focusing on very heavily for our thought leadership event on July 31 at the Labadi Beach Hotel. Yeah. How are people receiving, this particular development?
Well, so it's a mixed feeling. So just before I spoke to Benin and I got on the Zoom with you, I was buying my regular gobe on a Saturday afternoon after the show, and somebody came close to me and said, "Oh, so how is the club going to be like?" And I made mention to him that nothing really has changed. What do you want to see? And a lot of these people are saying that they want to see change. They have realized that in the past, how the club was being run, it wasn't really getting the club where they expected it to go. So it's mixed on the streets of Kumasi. People feel like, okay, maybe it's time for himself and Menchia to do some cash injection into Kotoko. Is to set up a secretariat, Kotoko Secretariat and Menchia, that takes care of all the financial needs of Kotoko, because they believe that no one rich man, quote and unquote, can take Kotoko out of where they are now, especially in terms of the financial part of the game. They believe that if there is a rich man in the Asante Kingdom, then it is the Asante Kingdom and the elite overlord, which will tune for. So they hope that their king will listen to them and maybe inject some cash into Kotoko. But it's hugely mixed. There are people that feel that, okay, the second coming of Kotoko Prosper Ogum doesn't really need and they expect him to be back. Now he's in. The others that believe that, okay, he's the coach that brought some goodwill to Kotoko and the fans. So maybe it's okay for them to have him on. It's mixed, but just as you said, once the season kick starts and they begin to get wins, I'm sure that those who do not really believe in the ideologies will probably begin to turn their heads small.
Vivi, now, don't you get tired sometimes of doing analysis along these same lines over and over again? Because this conversation about having a big name investor or an investor with a deep pocket come in to inject cash and change the strategic business direction of the club. We've had this conversation over and over again, haven't we?
Yes, Nat, we have. In fact, I have a personal thoughts and opinion that I do not think humbly that there is one single rich man that can turn the fortunes of Kotoko around. You see, the funny thing is that there is when you come to work at Kotoko, it is seen as you serving as Asante, man. And apart from, say, the clout and a few things that these people get from the club, they don't really get anything. So which rich man in Ghana, and especially in Asante, man, will be willing to pocket, say, 10 million? And this morning, I did some research, and Al Ali and the like spend every season close to 10 million euros, $10 million in running their club. Every other operation is in that. Which businessman is willing to spend $10 million every year every year. It's not possible. Again, we can go back to the Yanga and then Simba analogy in Tanzania. Yanga make sure that they are running their club based on internally generated funds. They have a proper business structure. But before that, there is cash inflow. Again, these are things that we need to do. Just one rich man isn't enough, to be very honest with you. And it looks as if that is why, for me, yesterday, I think that whilst the old players were invited, and then whilst the NCC people were invited, some of us this morning, some other media stakeholders are beginning to say that, maybe we should start pleading to Otunfo. So also hear from some of us who say, Nana, yes, sir, but this thing maybe should be looked at from the other point of view too. And we think that you are the one that can really do this job. If we always put our hopes in the rich men, quote and unquote, there's going to be that division at any point in time, because their people are going to feel entitled to something. The other part will feel they are not doing enough, and it brings all of these cracks. So I think that it goes way beyond that. I don't think that it's enough for just one rich man to run Kotoko. I don't think that is sustainable. In fact, that's the word. I don't think it's sustainable.
What will constitute a satisfactory performance for you for Prosper Ogum for this, considering that you have the privilege of information on some of the realistic, the realistic, issues, Kotoko as it stands now in the year 2023 in the month of July?
Well, so Prosper Ogum was loved by the Kotoko fans when he came through, and it was because of one thing. It wasn't because he's a doctor. It wasn't because he's a PhD holder. It wasn't because he looks like a nice guy. It wasn't because he said nice things about people. It was because he got a job down on the field of play. And if I have the privilege to speak to Prosper Ogum, I'll say, boss, you know what? Really, you got the goodwill of the people because you were winning games and you won Kotoko the league. If you need to go back again and pass through magazine, and the people will shout your name and say thank you for the good job that you've done, it is because you are going to be winning games, and you need to win games. In the last few games of Kotoko last season, the results were not coming. That's the reason why Zerbo did leave. When Abdullah Ghazali did take over, also the results still were not coming. Kotoko wants the results. There are people that believe that for people to begin to have love for the club again, they need to start winning games. And I think I agree with that to an extent, that Nate Prosper Ogum, for me, I'll be hugely critical of him, and I think that he needs to win from the get-go. He needs to find a way to form a team. He needs a way to let the boys that are there understand that if they had issues before, it's time for them to fight for a different cause. And this cause is to get Kotoko reinstated as the league leaders of the country. The bigger challenge, however, is the fact that what really is going to be the structure in which he's going to work with. I think that has to be sorted out quickly. Getting the board, getting management is very, very imperative to everything that Prosper Ogum will be doing the season that's coming. Because we have just a few weeks. And just before the announcement for Prosper Ogum came, there was an announcement that Kotoko had pulled out of the Galka Top 4 tournaments. And I can tell you that Nate Prosper Ogum did tell the people at Kotoko that with the time that the players are going to prepare, he doesn't think that they are going to have a team to compete in the Galka Top 4. That tells you that he wants to take some pressure out of his team, have time to prepare, and then go into the season. So I'm really sure that he would want to win, and I think that the only thing I'm accepting from him is a win for Kotoko. I mean, even if it's not about winning the league, people should see some good wins at the Baba Sports Stadium and good football.
Well, let's take the thoughts of John Paintsel on this one. I mean, he saw Prosper Ogum's exploits. I mean, when he was at Wafa, what he was able to do with Wafa, and what he was able to do with Asante Kotoko at the point when he took over, and how he transformed the side. John, this man is returning to the same place a second time. Do you have confidence for any reason whatsoever that he probably could turn the situation around again?
Joy 99.7 FM.
Hello, John. Can you hear me? All right, John, can you kindly unmute so that we can hear you properly? Yes, I was just asking about Prosper Ogum and this announced return to Asante Kotoko for this second stint. Is there anything that gives you any confidence whatsoever that he can lift, the Fabu spirit one more time, so that that buzz returns to the league? They always say that when Hearts and Kotoko thrive, the rest of the league also thrives by some strange design.
Yeah, I think Ogum is doing so well. He started from Wafa. We all saw what he did. Came to Kotoko. He won the league, and he built a very good structure over there with his players. Also with his philosophy and his understanding of the game. I think the supporters were behind him. The players were behind him. That's why I always said never close doors, because he left the door open for him that he can come in anytime. So now the time has come for him to come again. He has a history with the club, very good one. But repeating history sometimes is difficult. But I think he's the coach with his words, which he believes in his ability. And we all know that when it comes to coaching, he's doing very, very well. And I have full confidence that, no coach will go for a job that is not ready for. I believe Coach Ogum is ready to go for the tasks that are ahead, because he knew Kotoko is Kotoko. Kotoko is a demanding club. So when you're going, you prepare, which he has that zeal to go and pick up that work. So as a coach, I wish him all the best, and then I believe he can do it well. But like I said, he's example to a lot of coaches, a lot of people, that you always leave the door open. So when you go, the door will open for you to come back again.
Now, the bit as well about what creates a solid environment for a coach to work. You have been on various legs of you've operated on various arms of the football value chain. You have operated from the ownership level, and you've played and you've managed as well. From where you sit, what would you want to see the ownership of the club do for this man, so that he can get the job done like he's always known to do?
Yeah, I think first they have to allow him to do, if the club Kotoko has their own DNA or their own philosophy as a system in place, then the coach need to go by that rules, and then also system in place. Then they should allow him to pick the players that will fit his own system, his own philosophy, to build the team, because he being the head coach, he becomes a manager. So he manages the team, and he buy players that he think they are good to play for such a team. Kotoko is not a team that you can pick any player to play. You need players who have a great attitude, who take responsibilities on the field to make things work. So they should do whatever they can to make the coach happy and give him everything that he needs, so that he can have his peace to work. Because we've seen him doing it before, but if he's happy and he's getting all the necessary arrangement, all the equipment he needs, all the players he needs to start, I think everything will go well with them. So they should give him maximum respect, and respect his office as well.
Give him maximum respect and respect his office. A message to the Kotoko faithful from Ghana legend John Paintsel, who's one of my guests for today's show. Fifi Manfred of Love and Insure FM is also here with us, bringing us the updates from the ground as it is on this new development, as we also continue to discuss the subject of former players who become coaches and how much impact they're able to make there, in the dugout and on the touchlines. Let me just pick the quick thoughts of Coach Osman Seidu, who's here with us in studio on this particular development in Kumasi. Coach, thank you very much for your time. I think that analysis on Coach Prosper Ogum is not new to you. I mean, I'm sure we've had conversations here on this show and on this platform about his exploits and what he's been able to do, especially when he got the opportunity to take up the mantle at Kumasi Asante Kotoko. He's making a return, and it's coming at a very challenging time. How does he pull through?
Thank you very much, Nathaniel. Thank you for having me on this important show. One of the best shows I always want to listen to on Saturdays and throughout the week. Nathaniel, historically, second coming has not been very good for most of the coaches that we know. So for me, this is a real challenge for Dr. Ogum. Now, I, as a coach, I have a lot of respect for him because he has a little bit added advantage that I always argue about. The fact that he's a doctor indicates that really he has some advantage of implementing what he learned from school to the betterment of his job. But the question I want to ask is the conditions that he left Kotoko, based on the conditions that he left Kotoko, are the conditions still there or something have happened to those conditions? Now, my concern is that I have no doubt, absolutely no doubt, that he is going to deliver. But you see, performance do not happen in a vacuum. You need certain policies, you need certain structure, you need certain dedication to be able to perform. Now, having said all this, I repeat again, what were the reasons why he left Kotoko? If those reasons he believe have changed, then hallelujah for him. I strongly believe that's the best place for him to be. However, if that have not changed, then he might be facing the same problems that he faced. And one thing about Kotoko and Accra to folk is the fact that you come the first one, you come the second one, you finish with them. So I strongly believe that he might have thought into it very well. He might have given conditions like the Galka top four you just mentioned about. And I'm very optimistic that he has done those analysis. Now, the next question is, are they purchasing players now? If they are, is he influencing the quality that he's going to work with? For me, that's where really my concern will be as a coach. Now, you see, Nathaniel, if Kotoko, I think Kotoko must, this time around, is not a request, it's a must if they really would like to survive. They would have to ensure that, excuse me to say, with all due respect, run Kotoko as an entity, as a different company. And at the end of the day, they should even have shareholders. If you like, Asante, our most respected Riviera Asante, should have the highest stakeholder stakes in it. But it should be run as like a company so that they would be accountable at the end of every quarter, every month, every year. And if it doesn't go well, then based on the modern business practice, because we've moved away from, looking at football for passion to understanding football as a business. Because if you look at it as passion, that's where you go in. But if you look at it as business, you'll be thinking about sustainability. So that's where you'll be concerned about what your recruitment should be so that you can benefit from what you're recruiting now in the next 2-3 years. So for me, I think if he's been able to answer those questions, he's good to go. I wish him all the best, but it's going to be tougher than what he did when he was there the other time. This time around, no excuse for him. He's familiar with the system. He knows what Kotoko is. It's just about delivering like he did previously. So I think I wish him all the best. However, he's going to face a lot of challenges than he did the first one.
Well, opening thoughts from Coach Osman Seidu here on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM. Also, John Paintel, Ghana legend John Paintel is there with my colleague Fifi Manfred as well. Now, you send in your messages. I know you've got massive thoughts to share with us on this particular subject. And the main subject we're discussing today, which has to do with, how well the game goes when you have former players as coaches. What would be a success story or what would be failure? So, for instance, the man set a standard, winning the league, which is the ultimate. So, if he comes in and finishes the season in 5th place or even in 4th place, it will be a failure?
Look, it could even be a failure if he wins the league. Because winning the league, Kotoko are not so enthused about winning the league. They've done it severally. They just would like to win again. So their expectation would be more than winning just a league. Because to whom much is given, much is expected. So if, for me, from where I sit and the way I would analyze it, it's not about winning the league for Kotoko. It's no news if you win the league for Kotoko. But it becomes news when you win the league and go to Africa and perform. So it's not really about the local league for Kumasi, Asante, Kotoko. They've grown past that one. How many leagues have they not taken in this country? If you're able to win league for Kumasi, Asante, Kotoko, it's really, honestly, it's no news. It's because they've been up and down for some time now, just like Guardiola in Bayer or maybe City. It's not really about the league, it's about the Champions League. So I strongly believe that my professor or doctor should really be thinking about going beyond just the league, and that depends on his preparation, because garbage in, garbage out, and performance does not happen in a vacuum. It takes a lot of effort, dedication, structure, policies to be able to have good performance. And then after having the good performance, you do what we call performance management, because where performance is managed, performance improves.
Well, there's a message from Ani Osabute. Let me read this one. Good afternoon. Sad, Kotoko and Hasa are supposed to be the traditional teams shining the lights of our local football to the rest of the world. Kotoko used to go shoulder to shoulder with the Alis and the Zamaleks and the Aseks, etc. But they have been left behind in terms of money, proper structures, and systems. It's sad. Meanwhile, at the Methodist Park in Pram Pram, the futsal league is ongoing, and Don Ziggy will lock horns with peace lovers. Okay, thank you very much, Anil Sabute, who is now a promoter of the futsal game. One of these days, we're going to bring our cameras there to capture, So he talks about how, the superpowers have left, the current superpowers have left Kotoko behind, like many years behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Nat, I've done this analysis on a number of occasions in this very studio.
And you don't really see much change, do you?
It doesn't look like changing, because they are not changing their approach. They are not changing their understanding of the modern football. So I'm not expecting anything super from Asante Kotoko and Accra Attoh Folk even this season. So example, as I speak to you now, the other lesser teams, so-called lesser teams, have their players intact. They've started their preseason. We are not struggling with the coach at Kotoko. Accra Attoh Folk is purchasing players without they don't even have a coach. So what are you saying? Are you saying that the coach should come and work with what you've purchased already if that's not what he likes? So clearly, we envisage a challenge even in the next season for them, because their preparation hasn't been so excellent. Kotoko might be a bit better because they've gotten a coach, and the coach has even given conditions. I want to prepare my team, and I would need this time to prepare my team. And within this time, I'm not going to partake into any competition. That's a bold decision, and it takes a very bold coach to be able to do this, which I respect him for that. But really, nothing is changing. Go to Accra Lions today. The lesser teams. Go Accra, Heart of Lions. Even Heart of Lions, Randy's team. They are very prepared, and they've started the preseasons already. They already have their players. So really, as a coach, there is something called periodization in coaching, where periodization is, in simple words, it's like stages of the process that you'd go to play your league, or your preparation stages. So we have preseason, we have in-season, we have off-season, and all required certain number of weeks and certain number of dedication and structure. Now, if you do, that's where you see teams. They started playing very well in the league. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches, they come down.
Slump.
Why do they do this? Because they spend a lot of time during preseason, and they've gotten to their peak. And every team that gets to its peak after some number of matches will drop. This is scientific. It's not artistic. So as a coach, if you do not really manage your periodization very well, what is going to happen is that it's not about the players, it's not about the resources, but it's about how you manage the team. Now, if you have a team too that is not prepared for a league, it happens to us in last season at Kowana, so second division. We started the league, we're not prepared. So by the time we get to the limelight, the league is almost over. But we were scoring everybody. So it really, and now the dicey aspect of all this is that in Ghana, unlike Europe, where you know that this is the preseason time, this is the in-season and this is the off-season. In Ghana, it's not like that. Until recently, I must acknowledge that there's been a lot of improvement with Kets when it comes to when we start the league. You can testify to that. In the last two...
In aligning with the international calendar.
Exactly.
Yes.
In the last 2-3 seasons, when we say we're starting on this date, we start on that date. So it's good for coaches. But however, the point I want to make is that Accra to Folk and Kumasi Asante Kotoko are not doing anything different. So we do not expect to see any different results.
All right. Now, John Paintsell raised a very important point about support, which I guess that you've also hinged on. First of all, giving the coach the space to operate. And giving the coach the space to operate obviously hovers around making them have a hand in the decisions on as to who they're going to play with, because they are going to work with the players directly. John, can you tell us, based on all of this, if you feel or you disagree with this assertion that probably we're going to have, a club outside Asante Kotoko and Hearts of Oak win the league again in the coming season, based on all of these factors that we're seeing? Because it just looks like the big clubs are, having some challenges here and there, and quietly the smaller clubs are just picking the lessons and organizing themselves. John, can you kindly unmute? All right, please go ahead. Please go ahead. We can hear. I think I was sure to hear you now. Okay, can you unmute once again, please? Still here on Joy 99.7 FM as we discuss major developments in our football. The latest coming in earlier, a few hours earlier, was that Kumasi Asante Kotoko have settled on Prosper Nate Ogum to take over as head coach again. So that has taken a better part of the day as we look at the effect that ex-player coaches have on clubs and teams generally. I was just asking John Paintsell about whether he sees a repeat of what we saw the last season in the local league, where Mediama SC, who obviously is out of the traditional Hearts and Kotoko, won the league. Can we see a repeat, especially because the big clubs are not exactly as organized as you expect them to be ahead of the start of the season? John, please go ahead. All right, we're having a bit of a challenge with your audio, John, so we're going to rectify that and get back on that. But what does this also do? I mean, when you have the clubs who do not necessarily have the numbers, and you have these smaller clubs dominate. You have like a Mediama dominate. So a Mediama is coming to Accra to play Great Olympics. They are the champions. However, you do not get the fans in the stands because they don't have a big supporter base. Well, let's get back to John. Looks like he's been able to sort it out. So, John, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I was saying Kotoko and then Hearts of Folk are the giant in our Premier League. They come with weight, especially when it comes to supporters going to the field. And they have given so much joy to the country when it comes to football. And now football is dynamic. Now football has changed. And I believe that they have learned from what happened last season to both clubs.
And Brazil are top notch.
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. We can hear you.
And I believe that every season they have their coaches writing their reports to them. And I think those clubs need to take very serious on the coaches' reports at the end of every season, because that helps the team going forward and then see where they went wrong, where they can improve, and where they think they can adapt. Because coaches' report by the every end of the season is very, very important. Team manager report, coaches, the head coach report, assistant coach report, even physio, and then the captain himself need to write a report if necessary. Because when you are building a team like Kotoko and Hearts, they need to have all these structures in place. So reporting is very, very important in the club. And I believe that every day we learn. Mediama started long way. Every season he kept pushing, and then this season, see where he find himself. He won the league, and Moses Parker, I've known him. He's a very serious man, very professional. He knows what he's doing. So I think Kotoko has a lot to do, but making sure that the people that they are working with, they need to hear, listen to them more, because they are the people who can make the team successful. And also, one advice I can give to both clubs is they need to come close to their supporters and let the supporters know what is happening around the club, because they are there for the team. Without supporters, you can't do it. So I believe that Kotoko and Hearts can do better going forward this season.
Kotoko and Hearts can do better going forward this season only if they do certain things. You send a message. Remember, it's 055 1111997. 055 1111997. Let's get this conversation going, especially with this major development on Kumasi, Asante, Kotoko, and the way forward. What would you like to see done in future, Coach? Especially when it comes to the way these boards are appointed and switched over. Looks like the rate of, the turnover rate is very high.
Yeah, really. I strongly believe that this is a very important topic that demands like a full show to really digest into it. But before I continue, let me say hi to my colleague. It's my senior actually, John, for having to be on the same show with him. Now, the major challenge is the fact that we are mixing family, friendship with business.
Okay.
Or familiarity with business. Now, in a typical business setting, there is something we call KPIs.
Key performance indicators.
There is something we also call IOP, individual operational plan. I mean, there are a number of them. And there is something we also call job description. Now, I can tell you for a fact that most of these big clubs that we see do appointments without proper terms of reference, without proper individual operational plan, without review strategy, without monitoring and evaluation strategy. So, because I'm a rich man, I'm given that CEO position. That's it. Nobody checks on me. Nobody tell me what I'm supposed to do. What we really like is at the end of the year, we want to be champions of the league. That's it. Nothing else. So now the CEO then picks the job, and the job becomes his. He decides. The job is in his pocket. He decides what should happen. When in actual fact, if they are really using the structure, at the end of every quarter, every month, every half a year, every year, the CEO must have somebody he or she is reporting to. And then we should also measure the performance of the CEO. And where there is something called performance improvement plan, where the CEO is not performing, you put him on performance improvement plan. If he's not able to do it, you give him some months. You kick his ass out. Because we're doing serious business. This is not friendship. It's not family. And it's not familiarity. It's business. So until we are able to do that, and I tell you that teams that have been successful, again, I repeat again, Accra Lions. Teams that have been successful in the past 2-3 seasons, and you can give an example of such team as a team, one of them is Accra Lions. And if you go to Accra Lions, they have structures. Your performance is being managed on daily basis, on weekly basis, on monthly basis. They are not only managing the performance of the players, but they are also managing the performance of their coaches. And they have a culture. The coach must ensure that he fits into that culture. Or, I'm sorry, you go. So for me, really, before CEOs before management will be able to perform very well, we need to distinguish business from friendship, from familiarity, and from family. And until we're able to do that, I'm sorry, we are not going to get any headway. And we'll be talking about the same thing years over and over. Not in this same studio. I can confidently tell you that over 5 years ago, I said it in this same studio, that if Accra Hearts of Folk do not change their ways, they are not going to do anything in the next 5 years. It has come to pass. And I'm saying it again. If they do not diagnose their business and do a proper situational analysis and come out with proper strategies, they're going to struggle again for the next 3 years. One, they won't take the league. Two, they would always be talking about some other things that are not really important, that will not really help the club. Same to Kumasi Asante Kotoko. And same to any club that is not using the scientific approach to management. We've moved from the artistic approach to management. Let's give the job to those who deserve it.
Well, and talk about that. You've hit a very important point as well. This lack of results for the clubs that are supposed to be making impact. And I'll give this to Fifi Manfred. Fifi, what do fans tell you? Okay, so we'll get him back so that he tells us what the fans tell him. I mean, when you're having regular conversations, after work about why they would not want to go and watch the games now, which is a big subject we're discussing on July 31 at our Attoh leadership event.
Yeah, but really, there's work to do in both Accra Hearts of Folk and Kumasi Asante Kotoko, including working on the fans. So it's a holistic diagnostic approach they need to have.
How easy would it be to convince the supporters who are always looking for the 3 points and the results that you are at a certain stage of the club's development? For instance, Hearts of Oak, we see, is focusing very heavily on infrastructure. We see them seriously working on the secretariat here in Asylum Down. The building is up, the concrete shell is done. It's been roofed as well, and you also see that Pobiman has been done. So there is, but how do you come? Because the fans, they know goals and ecstasy and joy. That's why they come to the stadium.
Again, Nathaniel, scientific approach. There is something called SBCC, Social Behavior Communication Change. This is a pure scientific tool that must be used on the supporters of Accra Hearts of Folk and Kumasi Asante Kotoko. There should be some generational, transformational approach to ensure that they move the mindsets of their supporters from looking at football artistically to looking at football scientifically in terms of business-wise. Now, till date, still supporters go to the pitch because they support Accra Hearts of Folk. They support Kumasi Asante Kotoko. And what is their support? If you ask them, if you do a detailed analysis, so what do you mean by you're supporting Asante Kotoko? What I mean is we should be winning matches and I should be happy. To them, that's their support. So when we are not winning matches, I don't care. I won't go to the stadium. I will not go to the stadium. Now, if you have a supporter like this, it means that supporter is still having that old mind. If the team is not winning matches, you don't stop going to the stadium. But as a stakeholder and as a key stakeholder, you should know that if you do not go to the stadium, it will affect the club and there is nothing positive that will change about their performance. What you ought to do is to come to a round table, sit down with management and tell them that because you are key stakeholders and you contribute to the team, you believe that the team is not doing well in this direction, you think we should go this direction, but still go to the stadium. Because if you do not go to the stadium, how do you think the team should be managed? Zero. So go back and come back, nothing happens. So that's why I'm saying that it needs a holistic approach, including changing the mindset of their supporters. Because they have huge supporters. Nobody can deny that. And if you have huge supporters and your supporters are not contributing, clearly it indicates that there is a challenge. So what's the challenge? Look at the challenge, use modern scientific tools to move their mindset from where they are. So example, where you sit and where I sit. if I write the word 6 here, I see 6, you see 9. I cannot tell you your 9 is wrong when I'm standing at where I'm standing. I either have to pull you to my end or you pull me to your end. Then we start seeing the same figures. And that's what we need to do with our supporters in terms of Kumasi, Asante, Kotoko, and Accra to folk. Otherwise, we'll continue to experience, because as a supporter, I mean, let's go to that more advanced world. Do you want to tell me that at Anfield, supporters do not have a stake? They don't negotiate. They don't contribute to what is happening in the team. When there's a problem, they don't stop going to the stadium. They hardly would stop, unless, of course, they've tried something and it didn't work, and the next line of action will be, so we boycotting. And when we boycott, you would have to come and look for us. So I think supporters have power that they really do not know. They've limited their power to standing in, to getting into the stands and be shouting, hey, Rose, Okuma Pema, Apembeba. They have power beyond that. And I think this is the time they should use it, actually.
055-11-11997. 055-11-11997. Here on the Joy Sports link on Joy 99.7 FM. All right, so this is a message from Alex Walker. Alex Walker says, I just heard you talk about Pobiman and how it's been done. What has been done? The 2 hostels are rented apartments from private individuals. The white and yellow buildings are rented. Okay, Alex, clarification there. I talked about the fact that it's being worked on and the fact that the team trains there. Yes, that's what I was talking about. And in terms of the construction, I was also talking in reference to the headquarters or the head office building, which is in Asylum Down. I was there when the old structure was raised down, and I've seen the concrete structure up. So that's for clarification purposes. In a bit, we'll be activating the phone line so that you can join us. Today, the development in Kumasi has taken the better part of the time, but we're just delving into that era of having success on the pitch when you are an ex-player, and how much of it we've seen. In our history, interestingly, at the level of the Black Stars, for instance, we've seen quite a good bit of it. I mean, you look at the legendary C.K. Jamfi and his exploits.
Absolutely, Nathaniel. I listened to the conversation on that, but for me, it comes in stages. There's something called demonstration in coaching. You need to demonstrate to the player what you need the player to do. And then most of the time, this demonstration can be tactical or technical. So let's separate the two. When it comes to technical, then really maybe a very good old player, not just an old player, because we have some good big names in football that technically they are not good. They cannot pass the ball well, they cannot shoot the ball, they cannot head the ball, but I don't know how they manage to be superstars. So where we consider a very old player to be technically good, like he can pass the ball, he can cross the ball well, he can head the ball, so that would be a very big advantage to that old player, because he knows how to do that. So when it comes to demonstration, he will be able to do it. Now, beyond this layer, Nat, the next level to think about is, did you know that we build techniques at a younger age? So does that also tell you that those old players should be with the U10, U12, U13, U15 and building their techniques, because they have good techniques themselves. And when it comes to demonstration, they can demonstrate well. Now, when it comes to real football, it goes beyond techniques. Jose Mourinho would not come and coach a player how to kick a ball or how to cross a ball. Then it becomes tactical. Now, when it becomes tactical, trust me, it's not automatic that because you've been old player, you would be good with tactics. No, it is not. But it is somehow automatic that if you're an old player, definitely you might have one or two techniques that you can work with. So we need to separate these layers. Then if really we are saying that automatically a former player would be a good coach? Would he be a good technical coach or tactical coach? Obviously, based on the analysis I've given, then we should be having them building the techniques of our young players. Now, beyond this, coaching is an art. It just like journalism. It's not automatic that because your father is over to you, you would also become over to you, Jolate. It's not automatic. However, if your father intentionally structure your life in such a way that because he is a journalist, he wants you to become a journalist, there is a possibility that you could become a journalist. But a lot depends on who you as an individual. The fact that your father is a chief imam does not make you a chief imam automatically. Now, the point I want to build here is that in modern coaching, it is more scientific than artistic. Now, what I mean by scientific is the fact that you need to have a lot of management background to be able to be a good coach. Your communication should be excellent. You need to have listening skills. You need to be on top of conflict resolution. So really, it goes beyond just kicking and passing the ball when you want to become a good coach. And that's where I say it, and I would always say that I'm not saying that if you are not educated, you cannot be a good coach. But if you're educated, you really have a better chance of becoming a good coach than somebody who really don't have a very good education. So the point I want to make here is that it's not automatic that because I'm a former player, I become a good coach. If you do not have the qualities of a good coach, you cannot become a good coach. But you can become a good passer of the ball. You can become a good header of the ball. Coaching goes beyond just techniques. It goes beyond just tactics. Scientific coaching is about management, it's about communication, it's about having listening skills, it's about having conflict resolution skills, it's about negotiating skills. And it goes beyond just the fact that I'm a former player. I didn't play football, so you might think that I'm being biased, but really, that's what it is now in modern soccer. That's what it is. And we've had coaches who are very good football players. I don't want to be local, but I can say Maradona because he's not here. Excellent player, splendid, fabulous. But he was not a good coach.
Yeah, I was going to refer to that example from the FIFA World Cup. And considering that the FIFA World Cup was the stage where he made his biggest achievement, I mean, he makes a return there with his national team and, it's difficult.
You see, the challenge is we have some in Ghana here. I'm not going to mention anybody's name.
I think I know who you're talking about. Fifi, can you tell us, about you and those names that you feel have impressed so far when it comes to this particular endeavor? I always would want to proudly refer to Cecil Jones Atukwe. Obviously, I was not anywhere around Mother Earth when he was playing actively back in the 60s, but then he was an integral part of the Black Stars team, was a Nations Cup winner. And those who were around during his era, tell me about his technique and his style of play, which earned him the accolade Sir, and then he comes to coach and he wins the ultimate and goes to CAF and receives the CAF Coach of the Year as well.
So thank you very much, Nat. I when it comes to coaching and then ex-players, so let me start from you first of all. If you look at coaches like Pep Guardiola, who wasn't, so one of the things I've actually realized is that most of the very good coaches who were ex-footballers were not the best players. So Pep Guardiola, for one, wasn't the poster boy of his time. He was at best a more than average and above average player. And if you hear somebody like Mauricio Pochettino, he speaks to how he learned everything from Marcelo Bielsa. Yes, people like Johan Cruyff were good footballers and excellent coaches as well in their own right. But as the game evolves, I think I agree with Coach when he says that, you know what, you need something much more than your experience as a footballer. The experience is very important, mind you. There is a reason why if Pep wants to have a very good communication, he knows what to say to a player, especially a younger player, because he knew what he wanted to hear as a young player at the time. And that's all of those things culminate into the very good prospect he has, the very good successes he has as a coach. So it's important. On the Ghanaian terrain, I've watched a few coaches in recent times. So one of the coaches I've worked closely with is Coach Amadou, Nuruddin Amadou. He was with King Faisal. He has just been appointed as Samatek's coach. He played for King Faisal and Kotoko at some point in time. Excellent. And there is something of what coach is saying that adds to it. Coach Nuruddin was one of the most educated people that I know whilst he played the game. So he has the scientific basics of the game and also has the experience as a footballer. So I really do think that for current former ex-footballers to succeed in coaching, they need to have the education. They need to get a scientific education, because it is not enough to be an experienced footballer. You need to get a scientific education. The game is much more scientific. Even in the manner in which you trap a ball, in which angle. Yesterday, I saw Mauricio Pochettino in Chelsea's preseason games. He was teaching some of the young boys how to run from outside inside in receiving a ball and transiting from defense to attack. I think that if you are a footballer and you are, a number 6, you probably will not have this technique at your fingertips. So if you become a coach, it will be hard for you to even teach these players who play on the wings some of these things. But if you take your scientific part of the game seriously and you get the education, then you have everything in there to teach your players and help them grow in that regard. I really do think that as a footballer, you need more. But you see, one of the reasons why I think we haven't gotten that is that elsewhere, they have infused football training as players with education. So before the average footballer abroad finishes their playing career, they have some level of education. Some level of education that makes them appreciate certain things that if they transit from players to coaches, then they become proper coaches because they have had that level of education throughout their playing days as footballers and also throughout their learning days as young players in the academy. So really, if we want to help the current football players now and say we want to get coaches in the future who are ex-footballers because we want the expertise, then we need to find a way to intertwine education with our football. Then we are going to have players who would want to spend hours on end to reading about the game, reading about new science of the game, new technology of the game, new ways of playing the game. Then all of that is going to help into our game. So I really do think that it is all of both. You need the expertise, you need the experience. But the funny thing is that somebody who has had the scientific learning of the game is likely, in my opinion, to go further than an ex-player who hasn't had a scientific studies of the game, because yes, you may not have the experience, but you have exactly the know-how to run a football club as a coach.
All right, so let's get back to John Peto, who has a reaction to one of the thoughts made earlier. John, let's hear you.
There's a question I want to all of us to understand here that when we are talking about coaches, there's no such word in saying that the coach is not good. There's no word like that. every coach is good. If you don't be successful in the club that you sign for, that doesn't make you a bad coach. You can be a coach, Mourinho, but if you don't have some materials in your team, you don't have some particular players in your team, you might fail. So for me, every coach that has his own certificate working is a proper coach. You see, coaches have a lot of responsibility because when we say coaching philosophy, a coach must have his own philosophy. And then the coach regards, who are you? Okay, so you representing as a coach, and what do you do as a coach? All these things will come to play. So you, as As an ex-footballer or a coach who has never played football before, I believe that football on the field, the technical aspects and then the physiological aspect is different. But if you're able to combine it, that is why he mentioned that somebody Mourinho was teaching the young boys, and then because he have learned and all that and all that. And those who have also played from academy, they know. Like he did mention, because the more you play, the more you become experienced. So when you attach the coaching skills and the coaching education to it, then you are good to go. But I have a problem when we will sit here and mention that the coach is not good. That way the coach is not good is what I want us to take it out. Every coach is good, but when you fail, doesn't make you a bad coach. Because a coach should identify player through his body language. Now I'm coaching. If a player comes to training, I look at him. I know the player is not ready. I know the player is ready. So you help the player to build up himself. You call him. That is why you're a manager. Being a coach, you're a manager. You call him and you ask what is happening, because I know you. Every coach must know his player. So somebody who has played to the highest level, he knows all this. But somebody who has never played, he has to start from the grassroots, from the scratch to learn going forward. So I like the fact that he did mention that it's good to bring the ex-footballers in, because they are playing all their time, they know all the bases and all. So I believe in practicals, not theory, because as a coach, you don't need theory to perform on the field. Practicals, a coach should be able to identify and demonstrate what he wants the players to do. Example, you are going to play against Olympic. You have watched Olympics, you know their weak side, you know their strong side. Demonstrate on the field how you want them to position themselves, how you want them to build up. But if you can't do that as a coach on the field and you base on computer alone, that's where you fail. But that will not make you as a bad coach. That's what I want to chip in there.
Well, yeah. All right, Osman, yeah.
Thank you very much, my senior. I think I respect your opinion with all you said, but I have a different one. All coaches cannot be good coaches. This is a fact. We have bad coaches. I could be a bad coach. Anybody else could be a good coach. Anybody else could be a bad coach. We have bad coaches and we have good coaches. I think the argument we are putting across is the fact that you could have a very old player who becomes an excellent coach when he blends both artistic and scientific method of coaching. You could also have somebody who is not who's not been an old player but very fantastic coach. You could have somebody who is old player, very bad coach. You have somebody who's not been old player, very bad coach. And that's a fact. This is non-negotiable. It's a fact. But like I said, I in my presentation, I categorize what we need at what level in a player's journey in terms of from age and where they really need to develop their techniques. But when it comes to the bigger boys, really it's not about techniques. It really is about tactics, really is about managing personality crash, managing conflict, communicating well to them, and listening skills. And this has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with you being old player or you're not an old player.
Well, so it then means that you go in there, you apply what you know scientifically, and if it works for you, it works for you.
Absolutely. So for me, really, I want to be plain on this. I'm not saying that old players are not good coaches. We have old players that are excellent coaches. You mentioned some of them, and we still would have. Even John himself is one of the examples we can have. But trust me, the trend at which we are going, it requires just you. It requires beyond you being old player. That's a scientific fact that nobody can toy with. Thank you.
All right. 0055111197. 055-1111-997. Let's get on the phone line now and get an update from the Adakojachi training facility where Asante Kotoko are having a visit by the overlord of the Ashanti Kingdom, Otumfo Osei Tutu. Now, our analyst, Osei Owusu-Bempah, is on the entourage, the Asante Hines entourage, who are inspecting the facility, and he would just bring us up to speed on the kinds of conversations that have been had there. We've actually also, received some images of Coach Kwesi Appiah, Coach Prosper Nate Ogum, and many others who are there on the grounds now. Mr. Osei Owusu-Bempah, thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Mr. Osei Owusu-Bempah, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Very well, very well. Can you kindly paint a picture of what exactly is happening there now and what this visit by the Otumfo is supposed to achieve on a day when it's been confirmed that there's a new head coach?
Good afternoon. Following his meeting with the supporters, chiefs, and the co-players.
All right. Before you go on, we're getting a bit of wind in your audio. So can you position yourself well a little bit? Thank you. All right. So it's trying to reposition himself.
We arrived here probably about 30 minutes ago.
Very well.
A lot of people here, probably I can count no less than 500 people here. People of various interests, residents of the area and Kotoko sport. A few of them came in little buses and stuff and came here. Currently, he's being conducted around the facility. He entered what they call the container area. He's been in and out, entered few other structures, uncompleted ones, of course. And he's currently being toured around by, I can see Kokunti, George Kennedy, Christopher Damenya, who is the chairman of the Circles, National Circus Council, Nana Kwame Dankwa, the Greater Accra chairman, and the past chairman of Asante region, Mr. Omesetre. So there are a lot of people here. People are in groups. Of course, ideas and opinions are different as to what they've seen here, as to whether it was worth. Basically, the discussion has been around the container, whatever project that they did here. Some people of the opinion that it's just a simple waste of money because bricks and mortar could have done a much better job, probably at a lesser cost. Others are of different opinions. So there's a couple of arguments and discussions. Not arguments, not as in fisticuffs and stuff, but at least people with dissenting views discussing what they think the way forward is for Kotoko show.
With all of these and with the interactions that you've monitored so far, the kinds of personal conversations you've had so far, what does it look like in terms of the energy Asante Kotoko is bringing into the season?
Can you please repeat the last part?
I was just asking about what kind of energy you feel Asante Kotoko is going to bring into the new season, considering everything that's happened, in the last 24 hours, the conversations you have had as well.
Yeah. Well, let me also say, just for the purpose of the introduction, that Coach Ogum is also part of the entourage. So the rumors going around that he's going to be appointed a new coach of Kotoko, Trabe has been given impetus by the fact that he's working on the right-hand side of the chief. He was in the inner entourage of the chief as they are being conducted around the facility. But I think, talking about the energy, this is not the first time we've seen the chief come here. I think after, when Dr. Keke Sapon was in office, he was here a couple of times. After Keke Sapon left and the Kukuti came, we saw him. And then even the past administration that just got dismantled, he was here. Probably it seems that maybe for the third time or fourth time, probably he will see that things probably are not going well. And it's indeed, things are not going well. But as I speak to you, I'm standing just close to one of the training pitches. There are two training pitches. I wouldn't call them standard training pitches. They are basically like two pitches. But even the first one, which is where I understand they've been playing and training regularly, is more currently of a forest than anything else. It seems to me that since the last time they trained here, nobody has been here to even clean the place. It's very weedy. You see unwanted weeds. I'm talking of unwanted weeds because for a football field, you expect to see grass, some form of grass. And what I'm seeing right now, elephants, what in that grade they call Antana Camara and all those things are here. And the second page, after the second page, it looks as if He's probably going to be prepared the next couple of weeks or so to plant some plantain or something. Because virtually, that pitch, I don't think it will even be ready the next 3-4 months if they even embark on serious resurfacing. The facility is in terrible shape. I'll be honest with you. The facility is in terrible shape. KK Sapon left at the time that he has started some brick and mortar project, which is into about that. That thing was not continued by Otokunji's administration, not by any of the subsequent administrations. If you remember, a couple of years ago, there were reports that some people came here to steal iron rods for the project, and they were moving. Currently, these iron rods are so exposed. It reminds me of this so-called affordable housing project that was embarked upon by President Kotoko, which has been left to rot. It's exactly what I'm seeing here. And it's sad that amount of money has gone into a project like this. I just can't believe it. And it's the reason why I've kept saying that Kotoko's problems are nothing but leadership, nothing more than leadership. Absolutely, there's no way any private businessman will make this form of level of investment and allow it to go the way it has generated into. It's just terrible and eyesore.
Wow. So clearly, there is a lot of work to do in terms of putting an investment into the training facility itself.
Absolutely. There's a lot of work. If you are going to do anything at this training facility, maybe you are looking at starting from ground zero. Because I'm sure you even spend a lot more money correcting some of the wrongs before beginning to embark on anything. Again, even the land site. The first time I came to this place was around July 2010, when I first visited this site. Looking at what I've seen right now, the land that pointed out to me as the area that was allocated initially for the project, almost half, if not more, have been encroached by private developers. Now there are buildings all over. So the amount of space left, even for Kotoko's future project, probably less than 50% of the land that was originally allocated. As I sit here, even on the second pitch, if a player kicks a ball, it can enter somebody's premises. I'm not exaggerating. For you to see how close development has been. It's just like, if you go to, for example, my alma mater, University of Ghana, where the Oponglo Sabah pitch is. If you are playing, you can even kick it into any of the rooms somewhere. That's how close people have developed to the site that was originally located for this project. Now you can hear the siren. The entourage is departing. His entourage is leaving. He's been here for probably less than 45 minutes. I'm sure. I don't think he addressed the press because I was just curious. He didn't address anybody. I'm sure he will make his pronouncement, if any, later. But I would doubt very much. If based on what he's seen, he can say that he's very happy about what he has seen. This is something that Kotoko should not be identified with. Absolutely not. Completely not. It's just a shame. Completely.
Wow.
And obviously not. I'm not saying this to. I'm not blaming any management member or board members. I've said time and time again that the biggest investment and the key investment must come from the owner. I've never shied away from this. The owner must provide the investment. Look for people who can spend the money, quote unquote, wisely, and expect them to account for their stewardship. But if anything short of that, I doubt we can see anything more than what we see. Board members were appointed. Basically, I don't think that he was expecting the board member to spend personal resources and personal work in developing an infrastructure for Kotoko. This is a multi-million-dollar infrastructure, and I don't think any individual on their own volition as a form of donation or whatever will do this for Kotoko. I'm sure if the owner begins to sink in some money, people will be encouraged to also make some personal, group, or institutional donations. But I doubt if the seed money has actually come from anybody apart from the owner. By whatever means that money will come from, whether he will be able to get some partners, organization to partner with him to get this much needed investment for the club.
Well, very disappointing indeed. But thank you so much, Mr. Osei Usubempa. We're grateful to you for the updates that you brought us. Our senior analyst, Mr. Osei Usubempa, he was with the Utumfo in a surprise visit to the training facility area, and apparently it's in a big state of disrepair. Surprised, not surprised?
not surprised.
Yeah, before we go on, let's just quickly take final thoughts from John Paintsel, who would have to jump on a flight very shortly. John, we're grateful for your time. Very interesting developments on the show today. But okay, so we lost him there. So thank you. So we would like to say a very big thank you to John Paintsel for making the time. But you were making a point about this development.
Not a very interesting. I mean, it's not something that surprised me at all. Like I said, because of the way things have been managed, and it goes beyond just looking at it as infrastructure. It's going to have a psychological impact on their preparation towards the league, and that's where some of the problems might start. Because if you're walking into a league with the fact that we don't have good training equipment, we don't have good training facilities, the old management did not do well, they would also come out and try to defend themselves through their contacts who are in the media or what have you. So you don't have a peaceful house to even enter into the league with. And it will have a psychological effect on the players, on the technical team, on even the new management board that would come, and that has always been the challenge. So for me, this is not a very good development, and maybe the timing too is not very good. This we could have done this immediately after the league. We solve whatever problem it is. We talk about it on the airwaves. 1-2 weeks is over, then we move straight into solving the issues. But having a new coach and starting this with the new coach is not very healthy.
Well, let's take final thoughts from Fifi Manfred also. Just had to go and take care of other assignments, but let's see if we can squeeze in a few phone calls. 0302216541, 0302216541, and 05511119997, 0302216541, and also 05511119997. It's just sad that in the year 2023, I've done just around 2 decades in this journalism profession, and not only in our sport, but in other aspects of our development. There's always this talk about lack of maintenance, and facilities are built, projects are commissioned, and the first fear that we always harbor is that they will not be maintained properly. And this development just goes to tell us that we still have that sickness as a people.
Yes, it's a culture, it's orientation. We always tell ourselves that we don't have good maintenance culture, and we are happy about it. We're happy talking about it. As for Ghana, we don't have good management. Who is a Ghanaian, and who should have good culture, maintenance culture? We are the people supposed to do that. So you keep saying we don't have. Let's move from talking about the fact that we don't have to start talking about we are working on having that good maintenance culture. Let's start right from the homes, at the schools, everywhere. Let's have this transformational change with our next generation. There is nothing like we don't. Who doesn't have? We are the Ghanaians, and we are saying we don't have. So who should have good management and maintenance culture? Is that bad? Is that bad? But we need to do something about it. Everybody who has a responsibility of leading in any way, who has a responsibility of managing any edifice, wherever you are. I have one. I am supporting the National Mosque edifice, for instance, and I'm going to ensure that good maintenance culture we instill good management culture there. Wherever you are, start doing something. Let the teachers start teaching the kids on good management culture. Let's have some transformational change everywhere we are. But it's not enough to just sit on radio and say we don't have good maintenance culture. No, that's not enough. I'm sorry.
Well, let's take this phone call. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nat.
Thank you for joining us.
Afternoon. Thank you. Babs from Abelimpi.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, Nat, I think club cannot do without supporters. And if club is not doing well, how can a supporter pay a gate fee and go and watch? So club is all about supporters. That's where they get their money. Imagine 2000 Champions League final. That's when Accra House of Folk found out that they have maximum supporters. Not with Asante Kotoko, I think they have a sole owner, which is Otunfo. With my suggestion, this is what I think Otunfo can have an entrepreneur, a businessman, who would take on the club for like 10 years. Give him what they need for the club. This is our target. This is our target. But it has to come with measures. Maybe like 5 years. If you don't achieve this target, then we renew your contract. I think that will work for Asante Kotoko because they have the sole owner. But with Agasa Folk, it's like a limited liability company. But for Asante Kotoko, they have a sole owner of the club, which is Otunfo. So I think if they have maybe a plan for 10 years, businessman, take over the club. This is our target. 5 years, if you are not able to do it, we renew your contract, we take you off, we bring another person. That will work. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we're not able to squeeze in any more phone calls. Just getting towards the top of the hour where we'll bring you the Joy Headline News at 2. Coach, thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you here on the show. Yeah, would also like to say a very big thank you to John Paintsel and also Fifi Manfred for joining us. Remember, the major thought leadership event is coming up on the 31st of July at the Labadi Beach Hotel. More details to come and more angles and confirmation of participation of major groups within the football ecosystem during the week. But thank you all so much for listening to the show. Grateful to the whole production team and the Joy Sports team as well. And during the week, the administrative manager of the Ghana League Clubs Association, Mr. Odronyako, turned 64, 67, or 74, one of them. Yeah, strong man, still going very, very strong. And would like to say a happy birthday to him, still going very, very strong. And also to our very good friend, my sister, Wilma Bruce, turning 50 during the week as well. Wilma Bruce, happy 50th birthday to you. So thank you for listening. I'll be back next week, God willing, with another show. Stay well and keep it here on our networks. My name is Nathaniel Attoh.